Hi there, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be reviewing a bunch of atheist comments and actually answering almost pretty much all of them, if I can, from my YouTube videos. So yeah, let's get right into this video. So the first one is going to be my atheism doesn't make sense YouTube short, which got like 310 views. This is an old one, but we're going to check all the comments. And honestly, I'm not one of those people that look at all the comments and are like, oh my gosh, or like, respond to all of them. But, there are some questions in there that if you watched it, you would have been like, hey, you didn't really address all those stuff. Most of them were really long and I didn't really want to get mad over them. But today I'm going to actually respond to them if I could actually make sense of it, because I don't have all the answers, I'll be honest. Okay, so the first one that I could actually see from here is from Front Door. It says, Christianity, you see, has dug itself into a uniquely inescapable prison of their own devising. So it's pretty dramatic. You have God making Mary immaculate. What? So they use the undercase G, and they said they're thinking of Catholic stuff. Making Mary immaculate, devoid of sin? No one said that. To give birth to Jesus, as per some Christian sects like Roman Catholics and others. But that means that undercase God could make everyone immaculate, free from original sin. If that's the case, then the only reason we have sin is because God wills that upon literally everyone. So that's a straw man. No one said Mary is immaculate, and that's literally just Catholics who say that. And if she's devoid of sin, which I don't even agree with the Catholics on that, I would understand what he's saying, but that's not true. Mary she was a sinner just like us. All humans are born into sin. So Mary was not immaculate. She was just a vessel that God used to birth Jesus. So she's special in that case, but she's not someone to pray to or whatever. But so that's a straw man. He's really attacking not Christian beliefs, but Catholic beliefs. It says, then you have the concept of a Christian heaven. In heaven, there's no suffering, there's no sin, and there's no evil. Two problems with that. One minor, one major. Minor, do you have free will in heaven? Do you have memory? Do you know that loved ones are suffering in hell? I don't know, probably. I really don't know. I haven't been to heaven. How can you not suffer if you know that loved ones are suffering? I honestly do not know. I'm not in heaven. The Bible talks about heaven, but it doesn't say answers to that. Major, if undercase God can make a perfect place like heaven where people live without evil and suffering, then why make the earth? No, earth isn't a test. That's a weak cop-out answer. Earth was supposed to be perfect already, so it's gonna be just like heaven in the future, but it technically kind of was like heaven in the past. So it says, if God can make a perfect place like heaven where people live without evil and suffering, then why did he make it earth? Well, because earth was perfect. There really was no need for heaven yet. We sinned because we had free will. We have free will on earth, and that's why we're being judged to either go to heaven or hell. So yeah, the earth isn't a test. That's a weak cop-out answer. Like, okay, I kind of agree, but it's not really a test. Okay, so that one's answered. Question from the conductor. I'm putting these people's names. Please don't argue with them or anything or hate. I'm just putting it on because that's literally what they said to me. So question, if God exists and nothing can't create something, then who created God? And I put, hi, nice to meet you. The answer is simple. God is timeless, spaceless, infinite, and an uncreated being. He's literally God. Hopefully I explained it well. I could give you links to videos where people go in more depth. So if God exists and nothing can create something, then who created God? So basically, like this book, there has to be an author, a printer machine, or someone who physically made this book. Who made that person then would be God. And then who made God? Because if he's alive or he's existing, there has to be someone who created him. Well, actually no, because we think of stuff physically. We think of, okay, there's this physical book. We live in the physical earth, but God created time He created space. He created physical stuff. He literally created everything. Therefore, he could not be have time. He cannot have space. So he's infinite and timeless and spaceless. If that makes any sense. How could God make space and time and physical stuff if he already was, in time? He had to be timeless, spaceless. If that's confusing, I'm very sorry, but you might get that. Okay, so next one is Arctic Pangolin. It says, number 1, atheists do not say this about the problem of evil. Talking about my video. The problem of evil is about the contradiction between the existence of an all-loving God and evil in the world. No one who understands this will seriously say the problem of evil disproves all God concepts. Additionally, objective morals and ethics cannot exist even if you appeal to a God. This is just as arbitrary as any justification. So honestly, this is confusing. This is really confusing. I don't really understand that much, but it says, okay, so the problem, atheists don't say the problem evil, say this about the problem evil, it's a contradiction. Okay, so the existing of an all-loving God and evil in the world. My answer to that would be, God made us free will. He created the earth perfectly. He loved us, and we sinned, and sin equals death. I'll put the verse for that in the Bible. So sin causes death, disease, famine, all the bad stuff in this world. And we're the ones who sin. When you see people getting murdered and stuff, why are we blaming God? We should be blaming ourselves for doing it and then getting mad at the devil, because the devil's the one who's doing all this bad stuff and us. So, it's kind of weird. And God loves us so much that he's like, I see what I made and they aren't following me. I'm gonna send my only son Jesus to die on the cross, to take their place, basically like paying a fine. Let's say I was speeding on a road and I had to go to jail, and someone came in that I didn't know, paid my fine, and I could get out. So he took it, just like Jesus, so we don't have to go to hell. That's how much he loved us, because hell is a horrible place and God doesn't want us to be there. So that's why he loves us so much that he died on the cross for us. So yeah, that's kind of like the problem of evil. You can't really say anything about evil though if you're an atheist, because evil is just subjective. It's your opinion on what you think evil is. That's the thing. So they think morals are subjective, all this stuff. That's a whole other thing. But next one, I Havini says, atheism is not dependent upon the problem of evil. The problem of evil cannot disprove evil gods. For example, nor can it disprove gods that have limited power or no desire or ability to stop all evil. It is only useful against certain omni-gods. Atheism does not require nothing to do anything. It simply requires that all things can actually do stuff to beat things other than gods. Is he trying to say that I was wrong when I said nothing can create everything? Was he trying to say I was wrong about that? Nothing cannot create anything because it's nothing. It's literally nothing. So I don't know, that was kind of confusing. But okay, it says, lastly, atheism does not require us to have free choice. All it requires is that gods are not involved. So your three objections to atheism have barely anything to do with atheism at all. Good job, I guess. So he's kind of poking fun. So it says atheism does not require us to have free choice. Well, I wasn't saying atheism does. Really, I was just trying to say that. I was trying to make an example because people were like, oh, if God knows what happens in the future, then it's his fault that it happened. And I was clearly trying to state that that's not true. So that was kind of my fault because I put it in a why atheism isn't as smart as it seems. I was kind of objecting to what they were saying, answering their question. But yeah. Next one is Wheatster. We have documented examples of other animals displaying a social structure and a sense of what's right and what's wrong within the structure though. Being an animal doesn't mean you can't determine right from wrong. Okay, but Are you sure? Okay, you don't. Okay, so as for number 2, it's not either nothing or your preferred God. There's other possibilities. What? So, okay, so he's saying, I think there's one possibility that God made the earth, made everything, because there has to be a supernatural being to make something, or nothing made everything. Those are the two things. And I believe in number 1, which God made everything. He's saying there's other possibilities. So either God made everything, nothing made everything, or all these other gods, or whatever you believe. So that doesn't really answer my question. He kind of dodged it. So anyway, and lastly, true, honest, and real belief or disbelief in anything is entirely involuntary. You can't look at a piece of evidence or an argument for or against something that genuinely doesn't convince you and choose to be convinced. So is he trying to say that? What is he trying to say? I don't understand. Well, I know what he's trying to say, but it doesn't relate to anything that I was talking about. So he just said something random. You can't look at a piece of evidence or an argument for or against something that genuinely doesn't convince you and choose to be convinced. Yeah, it's true. If you're not convinced, then you're not convinced. It doesn't mean that whatever was there was true or not true, you know? So that had nothing to do with the conversation. But yeah. Next one. Absolute moral value or absolute morals never existed to begin with, and it's all arbitrary as we progress further. Just like how the God of the Bible has been proven to have arbitrary morals throughout the course of the Bible, little g God is just as inconsistent as the humans he demands to worship him. Arbitrary morals, like absolute morals, never existed. So he's trying to say that even God doesn't use absolute moral. Okay, so let's look up the definition of arbitrary, just so we could see a little better. Okay, arbitrary, based on random choice or personal whim. Okay, God is the creator of the universe. Whatever he says goes. You know what I mean? So it's not really that arbitrary. To us, it would be. If he says something, then it's absolute, because he's literally the creator of the universe, and he made everything, and he could tell us what is wrong and what is right. So it says inconsistent as the humans he demands worship with. What's inconsistent? The laws that he states? Please tell me. Okay, then it says, also, if a little g God is all-knowing, then it doesn't matter what you do / believe, as it is already predetermined to happen that way, which means your fate is fixed for the moment you're born and is not free will / free choice. You're just going through the motions. So it says predetermined. This is just like what I was saying is not true. Why is it predetermined? Just because God knows what's going to happen doesn't mean it's predetermined. Predetermined means it's like God saying, okay, this is going to happen to you, this is going to happen to you, and this is going to happen to you. He's not choosing that. You're choosing yourself. If I go off and do drugs, and then I somehow die, God didn't predetermine that in my life. He wants what's good for me. That was my choice to do that. So we have free will. I understand what they're trying to say, but it really doesn't work out when you actually think about it. Okay, so this guy is called Vladimir. He said, who said good and bad have to exist? We only have morals because it helps us as a species to survive. And I would say, does it really? There's other animals that don't have morals that have survived perfectly, eating other animals, doing whatever they want. So that's not really a good excuse. And also, they're trying to say that morals are not absolute. So would you say rape is okay? If you said it's not, you're probably going to say, oh, because, you know, socially it's unacceptable. I'm pretty sure it's always wrong either way. We're in a society that says good things are bad, but they're still good, even if society says it's bad. So it doesn't really matter about society. But the last one from this video, and we're gonna go through other things, is from Darund Fuz Z. It says, number 1, morals could exist with or without a deity. There is no argument in either direction. You could be an atheist and have morals, but where are you getting your morals from? There has to be a God, or we're just having opinions. You know, it doesn't really matter. You have to have someone who has authority to say this is wrong and this is right, and I've already explained it. 2, true, which he's talking about when I said nothing can't make anything, but he says true, still no need for deities though. What? Did he or she not listen to the whole entire thing I said? Okay, for nothing to make the whole world, creation, all these beautiful plants and trees is crazy, but it has to be someone who's supernatural. It might not be the Christian God yet, but you have to look at the evidence, which I think it is the Christian God, but it has to be supernatural to make the DNA that flows in our bodies and construct every living organism. You have to be pretty smart and pretty powerful. So saying still no need for a deity though, it's like, what? So what do you think would make all this stuff if it was something, you know? So it's pretty silly. Number 3 says an afterlife is also independent from the claim of deities, just like consequences of our actions are not tied to our deities either. Thus, you provide no reason why atheism is not smart. So an afterlife is also independent from the claim of deities? What do you mean, God? Every religion has some form of afterlife or whatever. I wasn't really talking about the afterlife, but he did say just like consequences of our actions are not tied to deities either. But the afterlife ties into the religion you're in, and it could greatly affect what you believe. Thank you for watching this kind of long video. I'm not trying to, it might seem that I'm angry, but I'm really not. I'm a little aggressive because, you know, this is people's lives on the line, you know? But if you want to have some comments in the comment section of the video, refuting me, or I'm fine with it, you know? I can make a second video. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you had any questions or think I didn't really say it that well, tell me in the comments and I will do more research on it. But see you guys later. Bye.
I've been preparing for blessings that I just can't contain. Yeah. He don't know me my next breath, man, I just can't complain. Look. He sees your faithfulness, soldier, look, you don't play in vain. God been cutting off all these branches that just can't remain. Yeah. Pressed down, shaking together, run it over. Hey, tell him we